I spent the last 3 months replaying and understanding the nuances and the complexities of what happened in that moment. And I'm not going to try to unpack all of that right now, but I can say to all of you, there is no part of me that thinks that was the right way to behave in that moment. There's no part of me that thinks that's the optimal way to handle a feeling of disrespect or insults.
All right, Greg, what do you got?
Yeah, this one's pretty quick for me. There's a real tongue jut at 3 months. That's a tongue jut of the classic kind. You can see his lips part just a little and his tongue pushed through. That's distaste. So he's probably thinking, why did I wait so long? That kind of thing. And so he's showing us that he has distaste in that case. This isn't me. It's bigger than me getting angry. He's going down a path of trying to say, it's not me. This is a much bigger thing. This is all about things that happen and people who behave in a bad way. And look, when he goes to no part of me thinks that this was the right way, look at that brow. Look at that brow. This is, I tell you all the time, little Johnny comes in and says, and the cat broke the cookie jar. That's that move. He's waiting for approval. The interesting piece is he only cast his eyes downright one time, and that's when that tongue jut comes out. And then Scott does what we call in True Crime Workshop. The romancer, he makes hard eye contact the rest of the time, as if he's talking to an individual. That's the most emphatic thing he's done yet with that brow up. We've seen him moving it a good bit, but that's the most powerful use of the brow we've seen. And then when he say, this isn't about that, I say to all of you, this isn't about boom, that's damage control. Now I believe, because his lips withdraw immediately after, now I believed because he says it's disrespect or insult and a feeling of, I think now he's protecting something. Mark, whether it's a family relationship where he said you better go apologize, or whether it's a manager who said you better go apologize, you're not going to work anymore, or whether it's something else altogether, something in his ego, can't tell that, can't read his mind. But I don't think it's about Chris Rock at all. I think it's about us collectively and what we think of him, not necessarily his mother or any of that. Scott, what do you got?
All right, he's coming on like there are all these complexities and nuances to what he did. He just lost his temper and went there and slapped him. That's it. This is the part that really gets on my nerves, because he's acting like there's so much going on he didn't understand and doesn't know why he did and all that. I know why he did it. You know why he did it. And that's where we're sitting. He's trying to make it look like there's all this going on, I guess, to fill up this, to get this thing he's making, to get an apology for it, to get our forgiveness for him to do this. It's ridiculous. His cadence speeds up and slows down in here, and his diction becomes even sharper as he over illustrates everything he's talking about. So it seems to me so far this is the least sincere moment we've seen up to this point. All right, Mark, what do you got?
Yeah, I agree. There's also a logic drop in there as well, Scott, because if he spent the last 3 months, looking at the nuance and unpacking it and really looking at that complexity of it, why is it still fogged and fuzzy? You can't have both. You can't have both things. Well, I think it's fogged and fuzzy because he doesn't want to tell us exactly what you said there, which is he got angry, he went up and he thwacked the guy. And then afterwards went, oh, shouldn't have done that, should I? Yeah, it's probably not that complex. Yeah, there may be all kinds of stuff that he can talk through with his therapist or friends or family. I totally understand that. But when it comes down to it, the basic emotion there is most likely anger. Most likely just plain old anger being turned into aggression there, I would imagine. Anyway, he needs us to know that he's now moved forward. And so we get this really strong gesture of jumping over these hurdles or moving the walls forward. So he's a bigger person. He's taking up more space there. He really has moved on. And again, Greg, I agree. That's not really necessary for us, normal people at home. That's for the industry to say, hey, you know, treat my commodities well, treat my industry well. He's got some important holdings, and you know, I'm ready to get back to work, and I'm ready for you to be good investors in my company. What is interesting for me, though, is that he does admit the feeling of being disrespected and of being insulted. Not a feeling of being insulted. He was insulted. So somebody insulted him. He felt disrespected. He got up. He hit the guy. It's probably about that simple. Chase, you got it any more complex than that? What do you got?
Now, you guys got all the cool behavior stuff. So let's just break down the linguistics side of this. He says you need to understand nuance and complexities. So that's his behavior. So the reasons for his behavior are nuanced and complex, not the other person, only for him. The other person didn't say those things on stage because it was nuanced and complex. That was just simple to understand. The aggressor is nuanced and complex. And he says, there's no part of me that thinks this was the right way to behave. This is distancing language. And when he says it was not the optimal way, we see this little thing here. Mark talks about this all the time. And this suggests that it wasn't bad. It wasn't the worst. He's just saying it's not the best. That's what that means. And the only mention of true negative behavior in this entire clip belongs to Chris Rock. It's disrespectful and insult. No distancing language whatsoever. It's directly negative, pointing at Chris Rock's behavior. Lots of shifts down to internal dialogue. This way, this is where his eyes move down into his left. And the words he uses for his own behavior, let's just recap, are behavior, thing, and not optimal. Those are the three, as opposed to Chris Rock's behavior being disrespectful and insulting. So, interesting way to phrase this from a linguistics point of view.
I spent the last 3 months replaying and understanding the nuances and the complexities of what happened in that moment. And I'm not going to try to unpack all of that right now, but I can say to all of you, there is no part of me that thinks that was the right way to behave in that moment. There's no part of me that thinks that's the optimal way to handle a feeling of disrespect or insults.
If you like this video, get the full body language breakdown and analysis on our main channel by clicking this video right here.